Yay, look at all these fun people. Good morning. Welcome. Oh, everybody else went on mute. Good morning and welcome. Good to see you all. Askins, you can do this. Yay.
Welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jim Brady.
How you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
It was an interesting sermon this morning.
I'm glad you heard it. Glad you were there in worship. Look forward to your insights in your small groups and discussions today.
Well, I don't know about that.
Good morning, and welcome. Glad you guys are here. Go ahead and mute yourself if you're not already on mute, by the way. It looks like that mute upon entry may or may not be automatic, Clay. All good. Welcome, welcome. We're glad you're here. Glad you guys are here. Again, welcome, welcome. And a happy St. Francis Day to you all. We are grateful for each and every one of you and your presence here today. Good morning. All right, what we're gonna start with this morning is as we know that our president is not 100%, that he is being treated for the coronavirus, we'd like to start in prayer for recovery from sickness. So I invite you all to bow your heads. The Lord be with you.
Also with you.
Let us pray. O God of heavenly powers, by the might of your command, you drive away from our bodies all sickness and all infirmity. Be present in your goodness with your children, the President and First Lady, and all the White House or government who've been infected by this virus, that their weakness may be banished and their strength restored, and that their health being renewed, they may bless your holy name. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. We are grateful for all the medical workers working around the clock to care for all those who've been infected by this virus. And we continue to hold every person in prayer as we commit to weekly within our liturgy and also daily in our personal prayers.
Oh, you ready for me? Glad to do that. Good morning. On behalf of the Stewardship Committee, Lisa and I would like to welcome you to this morning's session. Your Stewardship Committee is Gene Adams, John Allen, Ben Bowersox, who comes to us from the vestry, Jen Garrettson, Carolyn Goslin, J.R. Segenario, Linda Scott, and Kate Kyle, and Lisa, and yours truly. Somehow we got the lucky draw this year to be your chairs for stewardship. I don't know how Kate arranged that, but we'll talk about that some other time. Highlights of our stewardship season, which is definitely a little bit different this year. It's only going to be the month of October, so we're right into it right now. And we ask for you to prayerfully consider your pledge and let us know about your pledge by either returning your pledge card, pledging online, calling the office. However you wish to do it, we ask that you return that pledge card by 10/31, Halloween. Treats only, no tricks, please. I had to put that in there. During Stewardship Month, we're going to read the book Grateful by Diana Butler Bass, who was our guest preacher this morning. There's an online video that I took the introductory session with this morning that I would encourage you to do. You can do the video series, or you can do the video series in conjunction with the reading. Either way you'd like to do it, it will be very fulfilling. Small groups during the month of October will discuss the book themes. On Wednesday night, October 14th, Father Wallace and Kate will lead a book discussion. And then, as Father Dave said earlier, Dr. Bass will join our coffee talk this session on October 25th for a panel discussion with Clergy. So write your questions down as you go through the video series and read the book, and meet Diana on October 25th near the end of the month. So what we'd like to start today for a few minutes and then we're going to break out into group sessions, is we're going to discuss a bit about today's sermon. I'm going to pose the following questions for you, and this is free for everyone just to jump in and answer. And I'll give you a hint that it's best that you unmute yourself before you start talking, or we won't be able to hear you. But from today's sermon, what stood out to you? What were some roses and or thorns? And were you challenged by anything that Diana said? And this is not a shy group, so somebody get started.
I would love to get started. This is Father Dave, and it's just great to see everyone this morning. I'm so thankful to Jeff and Lisa and the stewardship team. And I loved how Diana broke down a parable and kind of how it works. I think that was really helpful for me, and her reminding us all of how parables come alongside us, but also kind of shake us up a little bit. And I felt that way when I heard this story. It is upsetting, it is a disturbing story, but I love the way that she emphasized that this is really a story about gratitude, or perhaps a lack of gratitude. I also was really moved by her story that she shared about her great aunt's doll that was given to her as a gift. I think each and every one of us has a story like that, where we were entrusted with something and it didn't quite turn out as we had hoped, and we felt ashamed because of that. And so I was really touched by the story that she shared.
I'm going to go ahead and continue a little bit with your statement, Father Dave. Her story of breaking the doll brought back to my youth and adolescence and my young adulthood, and it was disturbing to me. I could think back of my growing up and the times that I was entrusted with something. Maybe it was someone's trust. Maybe it was a object, a tangible object, whatever it was. It started bringing back very candidly some memories that weren't the very best. I kind of started to think, gee, is there a confessional booth in our church? I might need it. I can remember being as a young man, and growing up in central Illinois. We didn't have video games back then, so what did we do? We borrowed our parents' cars, and we were entrusted with them. And you know what? I'll confess, we always didn't treat them very nicely, and it was certainly a responsibility and a pledge. Fortunately, we're all alive and here. Not everyone did growing up in youth, but things like that, and trust and responsibility, all of her sermon today, it's going to make me think throughout the day and the week and rethink some responsibilities in the church, responsibilities in my marriage. It was a very strong sermon to me.
I would just like to point out two things that I thought I loved her spin on the parable, changing it from the wicked tenants to the ungrateful tenants. And so there was a little, not positivity, but a nice little spin. And I like that she pointed out that they might have been trying to hide something, which relates to me, because sometimes in our lives we do bad things or say bad things, and we try to gloss over them or move away from them. So I like that we need to confront them. And I just, she moved away from previous interpretations of this parable and went down that avenue. But the second thing that I liked that she pointed out was stewardship of a gift. I never realized that when you rent it, leased, or borrowed, I was brought up with a responsibility that you return it in better shape than you received it. And I love that she pointed out to renting properties or something and being a steward. I like that because I don't think enough people realize the gift they have when they rent space from someone else. But to me, there were so many nuggets of wisdom. And I too liked how she had broken down the sections of the parables and emphasize that we do get upset when we read some of these because we're like, what is he trying to say? But anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed Dr. Bass. Thank you for letting me speak.
Are we jumping in? I can't see the hand raise function. If there is one, I'm sorry.
Well, we saw.
I think what I want to thank whoever arranged for Diana to come and speak with us and this whole range. She's one of my favorite authors and speakers, just a wonderful, wonderful person. I read Gratitude a while back at a retreat and it was a wonderful book. So if you haven't read it, look forward to it. It's wonderful. I think the thing that stood out for me was the power of shame and how shame can lead us down this path towards doing really, in this story, horrible things. And how she says in her book that the gift comes along with a giver, and it's really about relationships. Gifts and gratitude are really about relationships, and it's one of my favorite things about this book. And when we let shame take over when we do something wrong, instead of just being open with the person to whom this maybe gave us this gift, we withdraw, we do these other things, and so the confronting and thinking about shame and trying to not get rid of the responsibility, but remove shame as a barrier to the relationship, I think was a really powerful thing to me from the way she recast that parable from its traditional sense.
Anybody else want to address these 3 points before we break off into our small groups?
I'd like to just offer one thing. At the men's Bible study, we talk about parables, and we talked about this one on Thursday. And it was a good discussion, but it was interesting in the sense that it pretty much stuck to the classical interpretation of the tenants being seen as the Jews and who led to Jesus's death. And I found it refreshing to look at this in a different way. It's not like a, whoa, what just happened kind of a change of interpretation, but it's a subtlety. And it helps me to see that parables can be turned in so many different directions and looked at. Having an opportunity to think about it from the perspective of shame and gratitude, and the opportunity for God to forgive us for gifts that we have squandered, and giving us a chance to go on in His love. So I thought it was a very powerful service.
Also, when I looked at the whole liturgy today, particularly the musical segments, it made me think about how the people of St. John's are using their spiritual gifts imaginatively and boldly, during this pandemic time. I just love seeing these virtual choir anthems and how it's also brought us together with other churches in new ways. And that's the cool thing with technology is, I mean, we have this church from Massachusetts and then of course First Pres from our own community, but you know, I see so many examples in day-to-day life of the people of St. John's using their spiritual gifts to the fullest. And what a joy to see that.
All right. Okay, Caroline, are you ready to break us into the small groups? Yep, there's a thumbs up. All right, so what I think is going to happen here from other Zoom meetings I've done, Caroline's going to break us into a small group, so your screen will magically change to a small group that you'll be thrust into. If there are various group leaders, if you draw the unlucky card, you'll be in my group and I'll lead it. And then we'll talk for a bit of time, somewhere close to 20 minutes or so. And then we'll get a little warning flag that comes over the screen, if you've seen this before, that says, hey, we've got to finish up and come back into the main group and discuss some takeaways. So if Caroline's ready, she's nodding, she is.
Jeff,
right.
if I'm ungrateful, will I be cast into a Zoom room where there's darkness and gnashing of teeth?
It might be darkness.
I think this is it. Good morning, fam. How is everybody?
Good.
Doing well?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm happy to see everyone. This is the first coffee talk that I've been on, and it's nice to see more than just a few people. I got to serve as a greeter last week in the 2 to 5 time frame, and so actually physically seeing people, and even in the 13 seconds it takes them to walk down and into the church was just, it's so nice to just connect in a, you know, physically together. So, but the questions that we're going to talk about, I think Caroline pops them up, but they only stay up for a quick second. So I have them and I'll read them off to you guys. So, oh, and yeah, I think she's going to keep putting them up. So we're just going to talk about gratitude a little bit in a smaller setting so everybody can kind of participate rather than in the big, humongous group. So I'm Jen. Sorry, I should have introduced myself, but Jen Gerritsen, I'm part of the Stewardship Committee. So let's jump in. The first question is, can you share a story of a time in your life when you felt gratitude powerfully?
Well, since everyone's jumping in, recently for me, of course, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I've been battling metastatic colon cancer for almost a year and a half, and I'm in remission. And I think the only reason why, and I had no chances of lasting this long, but are the prayers and support that the staff, St. John's, and everyone else has been praying for me so heavily. So I am so grateful for those prayers and the presence of God in my life, who's always been there, but sometimes I try not to see him. I'm one of those ungrateful tenants at times.
I think for me, I sometimes, you know, I remember one time I was at college and I didn't get a job that I wanted. I got the job underneath it. And I was talking to my grandma about it, and she looked at me and she said, listen, whatever you do, do it unto the Lord, whether you're going to sweep the floors, whether you're going to run the business. And in that moment, it just made me think how grateful I was to have just the example that my grandparents have set for me in a work environment. And then, you know, just I think it was about 4.5 months later, you know, a position open that was even higher than the one that I was originally going to. And because of that example that she was setting and in the encouragement, I was better off, per se, in my work environment, just because I took a step back and said, look, what I do, I need to do the best no matter what. So just looking through my life, I think one of the things I'm most grateful for in my core is just the godly example that was put forth by the family that I look up to. And
Awesome.
Leslie, we're so happy that you're here with us and healthy. What great news.
Oh, thank you. Still a long road, still lots of doctor's appointments and tests, but I do not care. I'm enjoying life to the fullest.
We can move on if no one else has to, or I'll read the second question. And if you think of something from the first question and you want to interject, do your thing. So the second question is.
Well, Jen, let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jen, hey, this is Gene. Yeah, I just wanted to share, you know, throughout history, I say throughout history, in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, when you read correspondence from those time periods, almost every letter starts off, hope this letter finds you well. You know, in an era before there was much collected wisdom of medicine, and there were all kinds of diseases that afflicted people, polio in the summer, flu in the winter. You know, life was fairly uncertain, and almost everyone knew that and always inquired about your health. And I would say, you know, I've had a friend die this year from COVID, and it makes me really grateful. I have a job, and at my business, my law firm, our business is continuing. We're down some, but it's continuing very well. We haven't had to lay off anyone. So everyone we employ has a job, and none of us have been sick with the COVID. And, you know, I'm really grateful for that. It's just one of those times. And even though, again, we have, you know, since World War II, we've had penicillin and antibiotics, and we've been able to cure many diseases and almost polio, but for a few cases every year. And in India or in Africa is almost eradicated from the planet. But, you know, still this new untried virus, I mean, we should all be grateful, I think, very much so that we've not been ill. And I do pray for those who have it.
Thanks, Gene. So the second question, I agree, Gene. I think about that often. I'm in this bubble where all of my coworkers are working from home, and I have to step back and check myself and say, this is not the life that everybody in our community and our country is living. And it's kind of sobering to think about that. So definitely something to be grateful to still have a job, to still be safe and healthy. The second question is, what are you grateful for at St. John's?
Is it cheating if I say my job?
No. Hey, we're grateful you have that job too, Claire.
Well, we're glad you have it and not someone else.
Well, it's kind of funny because this actually ties into the first question. Most folks probably know this, but I spent the last 13 years out of the country. And so when I moved back last October, I was a little bit, well, I was terrified, just like, how am I going to find a job? I've worked steadily, but I haven't worked in this country. Is that going to be a problem? You know, I've got pretty universal skills, but are they going to translate well? Am I going to find something that I want to do? You know, I'm getting to a certain age where I don't want to take just anything. I wanted to be kind of picky about it. And I'm very, very grateful that I was staying at my mom's house and I had the luxury of being picky. And then I got the interview and immediately hit the ground running, and Dave and Abby and the clergy and everybody have been just like ooh, this is a gift. Claire, you've got a gift for this. Run with it. Just try it. We're welcome for you to try anything. And it has been spiritually, intellectually, creatively challenging the last year. And I am immensely grateful. And I mean, I'm not going to, well, and then I'm immensely grateful for the parish. Y'all are incredible. I am so grateful that you all have been so flexible while we've tried to figure out how on earth we're going to even run a virtual church. And so, no, this has been, of all the things that have happened in 2020, yes, I'm very grateful for just St. John's as an absolute whole. It's given me a lot of purpose that I think was missing, and that's been wonderful.
I think for me, this year has, because it's turned everything on its ear, you know, it's given me a chance to figure out what I think is really important and what I'm grateful for. And, you know, that has had great value. And it's come with a certain amount of pain as well. But I am grateful that I have had a chance to kind of be a little more reflective and figure out what, you know, what I need to pay attention to. And, you know, specifically, I'm grateful that the church is going to be open again, because there's something to me very valuable in just being at that space where for nearly 200 years, people have been praying their prayers, bringing their praise and their, you know, injuries and gratitude and anguish in that same spot. So I'm grateful for those things.
I hate to speak again, but I'm grateful for the staff and the worker bees that have made the church continue through this pandemic and the wonderful ideas that they've come up with. I mean, Betsy Calhoun, I mean, the music, of course, I'm an 8 o'clocker, so I was never exposed to that, but how everyone's worked together to make it work and still come up with more and more ideas, like the small groups that we formed. So I'm just appreciative of them. The vestry, senior warden.
I think if you would have asked me this pre-COVID, I would say I was so grateful for the welcoming spirit of St. John's. And when you walk in, you feel kind of like family, whether it's your first day or, you know, you've been there several times. And I think post, you know, 2020, I feel like it's more than just feeling like family, like we really are. Like, to see how so many people in the parish are working to make sure that we can connect in every level possible, just to be, you know, with the parish buddies and, you know, just everyone working to reach out and let the other members of our family know, hey, we're here for you, we want to connect still. So I'm really grateful for that. And, you know, on a more personal level, I'm grateful that my family, being an LGBTQ family, is able to find a worshiping family or a home or a place to, you know, love God and love the community where we are also accepted. So that's really, really big for us, because it took us a long time to find that in a church community.
Wonderful.
And talk as much as you want, because there's only 7 of us, so we gotta fill the time.
Well, I can start at my birth. No.
All
But
right.
St. John's does make you inclusive. Everyone is included at St. John's.
Yeah. Definitely.
When I first started coming here, I kept waiting. I'll be completely honest. I kind of kept waiting for the other shoe to fall because I've been in a place that is not accepting, and not once, not once. And honestly, the thing that I love is that if someone does make a mistake, if someone does say something, I know that I can go to that person and say, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but what you just said, you know, it's not actually very polite, or it's not very nice, or, you know, it's this or that. And I know that they would listen to me. And I think that that is what is so wonderful about St. John's, is people are so willing to learn, and they just encompass the whole, I think it's Maya Angelou, if you know better, you do better. Once people know better, they immediately start doing better here. And that is so refreshing. And that's another thing I'm deeply grateful for.
All right. So we have one more question. So I'll read that one out, but like I said, this is open to all three questions. So if you can think of some time that you felt gratitude powerfully, or if you know, something sparks an idea of why you love St. John's, you know, interject. Just, you know, whatever y'all want to do. It's not go past and can't go back. So the last question actually kind of ties in what June was sharing with us. It says, what are some of the silver linings of pandemic life for you? And do you feel gratitude more or less during COVID times? So it's going to pop up at the top of your screens because Caroline is about to type it as well. So if you guys want to read it for yourself, you can. It's kind of a hefty one. There it is.
Well, like I said before, to me, it has, you know, it's made me focus and certainly understand more about what I am grateful for. And so, you know, it's come with great blessing for me, this pandemic. Because it's made me understand a lot more about what I think is important, and how I want to spend my time and my resources. And at my age, time is a resource. You know, I've lived a lot longer than I am going to continue living. So it's been very poignant for me, very poignant.
I have to say there's lots of silver linings for me because I'm an introvert. So not going to the office every day has been amazing. I'm like, can I work from home forever? Also, my wife Emily's working from home, and we're actually sharing our dining room table. And so I get half and she gets half, and I get to spend time literally with my family all day. So it's a little bit harder for Em because she's more of the social butterfly. And she sometimes is like, I have to get out of here. I need to go talk to someone other than you. But I am really enjoying just being home and, you know, spending that time where before with work for both of us and being involved at church and with family, sometimes you are going. You don't have time to sit still and spend that time with your family. So that's definitely something I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I kind of hope that one of those, it's sort of more of a society-wide silver lining is, one, I hope people are washing their hands more often. So that's great. I actually don't mind wearing a mask. I mean, flu season's coming up. I think that should actually be what we do every winter. So I'm one of those people. I'm fine with that. I don't like it when you stand too close to me in the grocery store. But then also, yes, the working from home, I think it's been very, very good for a lot of employers to realize that their employees can be just as productive by giving them a little bit of flexibility with their hours and how they have their setup. And I hope that continues for a lot of people. I hope that, you know, if you are you know, it's just a cold, but it's still contagious. Sure, work from home, go ahead, as opposed to coming in, or, you know, so I do hope we carry those kinds of things through, because I think that has shown to work. So those are the couple of silver linings.
Well, it was definitely a silver lining for me because I was already basically quarantined once you start chemo, you know, and that was back a year ago. And I was going through 25 treatments. And when the pandemic came, I just went, oh, wow, I can go to the store at 7 o'clock in the morning with all the other old people. I mean, just different things that were done. And it just made my life easier because I was already wearing a mask. My immune system was already gone. But I just was appreciative of how everyone did try to wear a mask, did try to social distance. And it just made my job easier. Of course, I didn't see my daughter or grandkids for a long time, just recently. I had my big outing on Friday night at McClay's football game, which they didn't score a touchdown at all, but I got to see my granddaughter cheer, and that was great because they social distance in the stands and everyone has to wear a mask. So that was good.
I do think there is kind of a dark side to this, though. I think it has made us understand things like who is an essential worker, who are the people that cannot work from home, and if they miss one paycheck, they fall through the cracks. I think things like food distribution has really, it's kind of ripped the Band-Aid off because we have to look at how we feed our children, how we educate our children, how, you know, oftentimes we live in a county that is, you know, we have a lot of people that are doing very well, but we have over 20% of our population is food insecure. And it's children that depend on breakfast and lunch at school and a backpack on Friday, so they have something to eat over the weekend. And now, you know, when they were not going to school and didn't have the option. So I guess I have to say that I'm grateful that it's made us maybe hopefully reevaluate some things about how we go about life for everyone in the community. And I'm hoping that a lasting thing that will come from it is that we will be able to reconsider how we, you know, not everybody is just like me, and how do we care for our whole community.
Well, I was impressed too with how Grace Mission, the Carney Center, and which our church is involved in, how they came up with different ideas to feed people. And then over at Gadsden County, they had different churches that stepped up to open up during the week because just like Leon County, they have a lot of people that have nothing to eat. So I meant these are different things that were started. And I think a lot of these ideas, just like you said, are good. And I hope they continue because it was easier access instead of having to be at a school. The churches are more neighborhood churches.
Yes. So we're going to go back in 30 seconds. I think they might ask us to share. Does anybody want to share for our group? Any volunteers? No, that's okay. I took some notes. So I'll share for us. Just making sure no one was like one of those extroverts that wanted to take the reins. But hey, thank you guys so much. It was great chatting with you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys. I'm gonna have to join these more often, get my taste of church life again. Hope you all stay well.
Thanks.
We shortchanged Father Dave.
Hey, Linda.
Thank you, Caroline.
So I think Jeff and Lisa and others, I think we are now to share from our small groups little flashes of insight or stories that touched your heart with the big group. Any groups, any brave souls want to step out in faith and go first?
I will. In our group, we heard themes, of course, that St. John's, how welcoming it is and the opportunities that are there. We also heard stories of personal great gratitude. And I think one of the overall things that came out too is for us to be able to see and recognize, because all the stories were so very different, recognizing opportunities for gratitude, even in areas that seem like might not be an area for gratitude, it was still there. Through tragedy, through heartache, through rough times, they found opportunities to feel gratitude. Somebody else?
Yeah, I'll speak. You know, our group, we were talking about how this crisis has given us all a chance to slow down, to take a step back, to contemplate on our role in life and how we can listen to the birds and we can realize maybe better the people around us, to hold conversations that help us discover more who we are and who God wants us to be. And then how thankful we are that the Holy Spirit moves us at St. John's to hold conversations about, you know, our place in the world, about relationships with other people, how to improve and understand things from the perspective of people who might be of a different race or a different gender than we are, and how we're grateful for the opportunity to do that in this safe space with friends who can provide us with other perspectives and to really think about what it is that we want to do and be in the world.
JRR group, we came to a similar conclusion about one of the reasons we love St. John's is that it is so inclusive, and you're welcomed into a community where you can really build your faith and explore God and what his community has to offer, but you aren't waiting for the shoe to drop on the exclusion of that group of people. So we were really grateful to see that. And then also our group, one of the silver linings that we found was the eye-opening experience of what certain members of our community go through if they do miss a paycheck or if they aren't in school to receive the breakfast and lunch meals. And we were really encouraged to see St. John's and Grace Mission, the Kearney Center, some other churches around the area kind of step up and try to do their best to offer help to those people. And we kind of we're hopeful that that will continue maybe after we move out of, 2020. Hopefully it's, as we get better with the virus, that we will be able to continue these deeds and not let those people fall through the cracks.
Mhm. From one thing from our group that I think we all felt that this whole process that we're going through, that we're very grateful of, is the creativity that we've all experienced in COVID, and specifically at St. John's. This morning's video production was once again Academy Award winning. I mean, they're every week they're wonderful. The bells this morning was particularly impactful on some of us. It was something different. We all strive or crave something different, but we stepped forward under Dave's leadership and our trustees and our leadership to install Wi-Fi and perfect some of this technology to bring the service and these activities to our homes for people who otherwise would go without. And we remarked how there's some churches that are not even close to our standard right now in terms of production. Some right here in Tallahassee that you'd be very surprised by, who have no service whatsoever to offer. And people are watching services in churches like Jacksonville and elsewhere, and ours is of such high quality because we all committed to it. And I think in the future, this is going to be so important because there's going to be days where our membership can't get to church, or just can't be there, or is traveling, or because of health. And I see that as permanent and never going away. Dave's shaking his head. And I'm very grateful that I can cook breakfast for Lisa some mornings and not have to get all fixed up and head to church, and at the same time watch it on Zoom in our kitchen. It's pretty cool.
As Jeff shares that, I can smell pancakes wafting in from the Colleen kitchen right now. So, Jeff, I know what you're talking about, man.
It's wonderful.
Any other thoughts before we close this wonderful discussion in prayer today?
Father
We have
Dave,
room. I think we have time. Oh, please, Alvin, go right ahead.
it's sort of ironic. One of my coworkers gave me a coffee cup as a gift. And one of the inscriptions says, it's Psalm 116, verse 7, "Let my soul be at rest again, for the Lord has been good to me." What an expression of gratitude.
Awesome.
Alvin, I had a prayer planned for the closing of today's session, but you, my friend, have just closed us in prayer. That was beautiful. So Alvin, you get the last word today. Thank you for your blessing. And I want to thank each and every one of you for blessing us with your presence today. Special gratitude to Jeff and Lisa and the members of our stewardship team, for Kate Kyle for being our conductor today. And Kate is the soul that arranged for Diana Butler Bass to be our preacher and our guest speaker at the end of the month. And I really believe you're going to get a lot out of her book, Grateful. Gratitude makes all of the difference in the world, and I am deeply grateful for each and every one of you joining today. Don't forget that from 2 to 5, we'll have communion in the garden, Eve's garden. You can also bring your pet for a blessing as we commemorate the feast day of St. Francis of Assisi, and the church itself will be open for quiet prayer and meditation from 2 to 5. So we look forward to seeing many of you later today. God bless you all and have a wonderful day. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
God bless.
Have a super terrific Sunday.
Be blessed.